Hello, welcome to the Signcast. I'm Madeline, the host and Sign Up's content and community manager. Today I'm talking with Steve Wiideman about all things multi-location business and how Google's new updates are going to impact everybody on that end of the business. So I'm excited to talk to you today, Steve. Why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself, how you got started in the multi-location SEO space?
Excited to hang out with you, and I'm ready to get nerdy. So I started 25 years ago as a freelance web designer. I just fell in love with it. I was in the Army, and on the few minutes of free time we had on the weekends, I just started to dive into things like Usenet and Gopher servers, and just really getting into the web and how it evolved. While I was working at IBM when I got back from the military, one of the jobs I had was migrating what was print output for Xerox printers to the web, profiling IDs so that our client Pacific Air Health Systems, their capitation and eligibility reports could go directly to doctors' offices. I'm like, wow, they're moving nearly $1 million of print to the web. I'll bet everybody's going to use this internet thing at some point for their business. Not too far after, I got a postcard from a college that said, hey, would you like a bachelor degree in e-business management? I'm like, where do I sign up? And so I went back to school. I got a degree and I learned everything from server administration to database administration, to web design. I kind of taught a lot of the web design to some of my teachers, to how project management comes together with all the different aspects. What was funny in college, though, too, is just kind of thinking back, was my graphic design teacher said I would never have a career in digital marketing, which I thought was, to me, it was, I don't know if she was just challenging me or if she genuinely meant, hey, your graphic design skills suck so bad, you're never going to be in marketing. And I'm not a very good graphic designer, but I could sure design some web pages, and I can absolutely, build a strategy for digital marketing. So, now it's, after my corporate time at Disney and IBM and another company called Paciolan, I did some agency work and decided that wasn't for me. 2010, I decided, you know what, I've got two little babies at home. Maybe I'll stay home or close to home and just kind of do some freelance work and see if it works. So I hit the local neighborhood. I asked local businesses and car dealerships, hey, would you like some help with search? And they go, well, do you have any experience? I'm like, well, Disney, IBM, and some other brands. And they're like, sure, let me see what you can do. Next thing you know, I'm a independent consultant working with clients like Skechers, and we're working with You Store It and some really fun brands back in the early days. 2015, we incorporated, became Wiideman Consulting Group, opened up our offices here in La Mirada. We now have 10 people. Recently brought in Will Pemble, who was a co-founder of web.com, and he's really been driving our processes and improving how we're our efficiencies, our expenses, and really helping us to show our value to clients. So it's been an exciting run, 25 years, in digital, and kind of seen everything and hung out with the in crowd in search for quite a while now.
Yeah, that's awesome. You're definitely the expert. You've worked with some great brands. I'm
Or just
still
a
learning
really big nerd.
Nerd expert, kind of synonymous.
10 years ago, I promised myself that I would not just be doing the same thing over and over again, that I'd be teaching. So a few years back, I actually got invited to teach at Cal State Fullerton, followed by UC San Diego, followed by Fullerton Community College. So in my little bit of off time I've got 9 classes that I teach between 3 different colleges. And one thing I realized last year was that there's no curriculum other than one simple chapter in digital marketing essentials. I'm like, that's not right. So I got together with Professor Scott Calley from University of Michigan, and we wrote a textbook called SEO Strategy and Skills. And now that textbook's been adopted by, I believe, 35 universities for their online marketing courses. So really exciting to see all of that junk in my brain be transcribed to something that other people can learn from. So not only do I get to teach, but I get to teach from my own textbook, which is really fun.
Yeah, that's incredible. So, yeah, congratulations on that. I had no idea. Yeah, I'm definitely still learning myself, so I might have to check the textbook out. I'd love to hear about some of the success stories of your clients. Like what are the unique challenges of a multi-location business? Like how do you go about tackling that? Obviously, it can vary between verticals, but yeah, maybe give some examples.
Well, I think one of the biggest challenges that multi-location brands have is they don't really have a strategy. They're doing SEO, like, oh, we got some things we're going to do to address Google page experience. We've got some content we're going to try to tweak to see if we can make it appear higher in search results. Our PR team knows to not use keywords and links to get us penalized, but instead to build relationships that hopefully culminate into links. But there's never really like a roadmap. Like here are all the things we need to do to address technical SEO, prioritized by what is going to provide the longest term value. Here's our entire content roadmap of branded and non-branded queries that people are making that we can address through our own content strategy. Here's how we can restructure our sitemap to focus on some of those head terms by building what Google's been calling helpful content into silos that provide everything and anything you'd want to know about a particular topic, so that we're not competing with one page, we're competing with a section of pages.
Yeah.
Here's everything that our competitors are doing to earn links. Here are all the links that are coming to our website that are 404, both through our own crawl of our website and our internal links, and other websites that are linking to us where it's going to a 404 page. Maybe we can make sure that those redirect to the best corresponding page and get back some of that link equity. What are some of the creative things that we can come up with to get people to want to link to us, like Applebee's.com, who's that got this great free meals for veterans promo every year. I mean, they had 5,000 links to 15 different veterans pages that were all 404'd. And within
Incredible.
24 hours, we redirected all of them to a permanent URL and reclaimed all of that great link, voting power that we had from Google. So I think putting a strategy together is probably the most important thing. And when we're thinking about local business in particular, there are 4 areas I like to focus on. And I'm going to take a breath because I've been just fire hosing. So number 1 is data accuracy. And I know software like SignUp can do an amazing job. In fact, you're one of the few platforms that actually have relationships with all 4 of the data aggregators, which is unusual. There's a lot that will say, oh, we only use Data Axle, or we only use Localese, we only use Foursquare, and they handle everything. You handle all of them, which is amazing. That's number 1, making sure our data is accurate, because nothing pisses off a customer more than trying to look for a location and getting inaccurate information. I used Yelp once to go into a Verizon store that was closed, and the hours weren't accurate on Yelp. And I was furious because my time's valuable, right? Exactly. Well, at least according to the team. So yeah, I was really kind of bummed out. And so that's pivotal. And I know Google is going to look at all of that to try to understand, is this location information accurate enough for me to trust putting it at the top of my maps results? Number 2 is, especially for multi-location brands, our landing pages. Those individual location pages that you have are so important. And I know before the podcast, we were talking a bit about the study we did. If you go to Wiideman.com, Wiideman.com, the very first link in the navigation is a page where we actually put the results from that study. And we did it in a way to help you, SEO people, so that when you're going to your boss and you're saying, I need to put hyperlocal content on here, and they say, well, why? You say, because we'll have 107% competitive advantage over our competition. Okay, I need location images. Why? Because we'll have an 84% competitive advantage if we put local images on our local pages, not just our logo. So we put this study together, and our amazing friends at Now Sourcing, Brian Wallace, put together this super cool infographic. So if you're not sure what that page should look like, check out that infographic, because it gives an exact mock-up, an example of what should be on that local landing page, all the attributes that play a role in our keyword rankings. Number 3 is going to be the visibility of our business information, the name, address, phone number, maybe even websites. And hopefully you're tracking your traffic from Google Maps separately using some UTM codes. If you're not sure what those are, just Google UTM Builder, and you get a neat little tool that'll give you some parameters you add to each location URL, so that you can go into your analytics and separate what came in from organic search and what came in from organic maps results. So getting those business citations every month and showing Google a pattern of improvements. And we're not talking about just your merchant circles and hot frogs and get faves, because let's be honest, nobody goes to those websites. We're talking about your city chamber of commerce. We're talking about your city directory, your industry directory. If you're an attorney, maybe that's Avo, Justia, FindLaw, lawyers.com, right? Those are all industry directories that do great marketing and drive traffic to your website, not just some generic directory no one will ever patronize. So that's number 3. Number 4, probably the most important, goes into the user behavior signal. If no one's clicking on your result, what's the search engine going to infer? Maybe that wasn't very helpful. And if no one's clicking on your result because you've got 3 stars showing up and your competitor has 4.7, that's a problem. So we want to work on the quality, quantity, and velocity of reviews that we're getting,
Right.
so that our maps listings show up in a way that people are going to want to click on them. And if every month we're getting with our teams and we're saying, hey, we improved our data accuracy, our local landing pages, our business data visibility, and our reputation, and we're holding ourselves accountable to being better than what the competition is doing month over month, within 6 to 12 months, you're going to be at the top of the Google Maps results. Your local pages will be right below them. And if you continue scrolling, you might even see some image carousels and video carousels with the embedded content that you have on those local pages so that you get more saturation. So that's how we approach location-based search. And I think the question was, what are some cool case studies and things that you have? One recent one was IHOP. IHOP, right? You think about them for breakfast. So you'd want to appear, if you're IHOP, for queries like breakfast specials, or during a pandemic when you're in lockdown, breakfast delivery, breakfast takeouts, maybe breakfast catering now that pandemic's over. So our job is to create what we call specialty pages or sub pages underneath those local landing pages. So as you get into multi-location search, you start to use the term LLP quite a bit, right? Local landing page. And under that local landing page now, our local landing page should rank for what we do and where we are. So breakfast restaurant in La Mirada, IHOP should show up there. But what if I did restaurant delivery, restaurant takeout, restaurant catering? If a competitor wanted to be really aggressive, they could create individual landing pages for that. So at scale, what we do for the multi-location brands is create a framework for that, and then use dynamic content with that location information, and maybe even do a little bit of data mining to find out what's unique about that particular location and make the most helpful page we can for delivery, for takeout, for catering, and when they're looking for new team members for restaurant jobs. All of those queries now are on page 1 for IHOP because we took the time to create that sub-page content. And a lot of brands won't do that. They only want just their local page, or some of them just want a location finder where the search result from that finder isn't even indexable by search engines. So huge opportunity lost for brands that aren't willing to take time to create that content.
Yeah, all kinds of problems there. No, I love the Yammer. You're obviously, you have a ton of experience with this. It's great to hear about everything you've done. I've definitely here at Sign Up, we see all the time these businesses, these prospective clients of ours who have these location finder pages, and then you'll go into the location finder on their website and it'll be broken. There won't be pages for a lot of the different locations, and it's like they think that that's sufficient. They go, oh, there's a location finder page, but if it's not working, that's frustrating for the customer. And the more friction you create, it's like, how many customers are going to go to so much work just to find your business, just to contact your business? And like you said, like, you have to really nail the basics of, oh, if a customer Googles breakfast near me and they see IHOP, they go, that's great. And if they call up the restaurant, if they go there and the restaurant's closed, they're probably never going to try to go again. You have
or trust Google search results.
Exactly. There's definitely been, I feel like there's been kind of an upheaval of this. Where are people searching? What are people searching? Some buzz about people are using TikTok instead of Google. Will Google stay on top? So
at the same time, these brands are spending millions of dollars on paid search. Millions. You can't invest a couple $1,000s to improve your local pages, or to make sure that all of your amenities and attributes that you have in your database are being pushed to the Google Business Profile and Bing Local and to Yelp, right? You won't take that time to get all of those different fields in there so that you have really strong profiles across everywhere that people are searching for a local business. And you're right, not everybody's using Google. Some of them are using Yelp. Some are even using TripAdvisor, if you can believe that. So I think there's a there's a huge gap in between the brands and knowing what the potential traffic could be. Because
Mhm.
I can tell you that 51% of the traffic going to some of these restaurant chains comes specifically from their local pages. Google
Mhm.
isn't displaying a root URL when they're performing a local query. They're displaying the localized result, and the titles all have the city name right in them. So if you
Mhm.
haven't really taken the time to go hyper local and create content for each city that you have a location in, you're missing out on up to 51% of your organic traffic. So
Exactly.
huge loss there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, it's unfortunate. Yeah, because I feel like with a lot of multi-location businesses, it can get tough to manage your marketing, especially if you don't have the right tools in place, the right processes in place. It gets really like it's a huge time suck, even just if you want to update a simple thing across all your locations. So, yeah, of course, you wouldn't have localized pages
Can you
created.
imagine? Oh my God. Can you imagine doing it manually? Oh, what
Yeah.
a nightmare that would be. Hey, we need to log into 1,600 individual Google business profile pages. Oh, and
Yeah.
1,600 Yelp pages when we're done with that. And then 1,600 TripAdvisor pages. Oh, and Bing Local, 1,600 of those. Oh, and Nokia here, and MapQuest and all of those. Can you imagine doing that
Yeah.
1,600 times for each destination? Thank
I
God
would
for
not
platforms
want
like
that
yours
job.
that make that easy.
Yeah. I would not want that job.
What's
Yeah.
funny? We were on Slack earlier just talking about the challenges of some of these larger brands and kind of joking around a bit about, how much money they put into advertising and how little they'll invest in simple little things that improve online visibility. And
Sure.
it was kind of a shock when you think about just how much budget is available and how much could be done. Something simple as native reviews. I mean, if we
Mhm.
rolled out native reviews across every single location page we had, and we had even an intern doing the moderation of it to make sure that nothing inappropriate gets published, can you imagine the user generated content we could create on every
Right.
location just by allowing first party reviews? Yet most brands won't take the time to do it. It's unbelievable how easy it really is. And so here's where the paradigm came into play. Imagine an environment where we could text all of our location managers and say, we're going to be doing some marketing to drive more customers to your location.
Mhm.
um, to help us. Would you like to opt in to periodic yes or no questions on text? Right? Yes or no. And let them see the yes or no little, um, suggestions that, the Android will make. I don't know if iPhone does it or not, because iPhone's just not as cool as
I
Android anymore.
Oh, a little a little iPhone slander.
A little
Yeah,
bit,
they
but
they
uh,
they
but can you
do like
imagine?
a yeah. Yeah, I mean that would be so simple.
And anyone who replies with no, I'm not interested, they need to be fired as a location manager. Anyone who says yes, I'd be totally interested in bringing more revenue to my location,
Of
then you
course, why
send them
not?
quick little yes or no answers. Yes. So here's your first question, location manager. The infrequent questions we're going to send you maybe once or twice a month. Here's question number one. Tell us about your accessibility. Are your restrooms and entrance wheelchair accessible? Yes or no?
Mhm.
Yes. Boom. Go straight into the database. The database syncs with sign up or whatever platform you happen to be using, and then
Sure.
it gets pushed into the Google Business profile and onto the local page. Okay, location manager, tell us about specials. A lot of our locations differentiate in senior discounts. Do you offer a senior discount? Yes or no? Yes. Do you offer the regular 10% or something else? Something else, right?
Mhm.
And so you just send these little infrequent text messages to the location manager, maybe even with, did you know you could submit location photos directly to Google Business from your phone using one of our services we use? All you have to do is click this link, and then whenever you get to the location and you want to take pictures, you can upload them directly to your Google Business profile. And I just feel like there's a disconnect. So what we've done to mitigate that on some of these larger brands is we start with just a very, very simple cheat sheet. And at the top of the cheat sheet, it says, here's what corporate does for you. And it breaks it into those 4 disciplines we talked about. We're submitting to all these databases for you, so you don't have to. We are working on your local landing pages to make them as amazing as we possibly can. We are putting your business data out on as many directories that make sense for you as we can. And we're giving you tools to help moderate and see the reviews and ratings that are coming in, and some templates on how to respond to those reviews. So you don't have to worry about any of that. When Joe Schmo, local SEO guy, comes in and says, I can grow your business, you can say, well, what are you going to do? Pull out that cheat sheet and say, no, corporate already handles that for me. But then there's also in row 2 some things we don't want you to do, right? We don't want you creating rogue websites for yourself and rogue Facebook pages. We don't want you buying reviews or doing anything that could cause penalties in our keyword rankings. So, if somebody comes in, they say they're going to do some things for you, look at that row, and if one of those things is on there, that's bad news. The third thing, and the largest part of this cheat sheet, is what you can do to help us, right? And part 1 is have everybody who works here get directions when they come in, and make sure those directions are accurate. Whether it's through Apple Maps, whether it's through MapQuest, whether it's through Google, Yelp, whatever they happen to be using, make sure those directions are accurate and the pin is correct. And if it's not, let us know so that we can update them in the system and make those directions better. 2, let's make sure that we are encouraging team members to get reviews, right? And we don't have to ask for them. We can just say, hey, thanks for coming in, and thanks in advance for sharing your experience with us online, whatever you happen to use, Google, Yelp, right? The other thing that we can do, of course, is social media. So when you're talking to your customers and they're having a great time and they're laughing, like, oh my God, I wish you guys would share your current experience on social, because if other people knew how much fun people like you have coming here, we'd probably get more customers. I'm like, yeah, we do that. Where do you want us to share? Everywhere. Anywhere you can.
Once you ask, customers will love to hype up your business. Yeah.
No kidding. And all it takes is literally 10 seconds of you just mentioning it. But there's no knowledge transfer between the marketing teams and the corporate office to the individual location and those location teams. There's no once a month 15-minute powwow on how the individual team members at that location can participate in digital marketing, because corporate doesn't work like that, and we still live in the 1980s.
Yeah.
So that would be my one wish for everybody who's listening, is figure out a way, whether it's through sign up or somewhere else, to have direct communications with those location managers so that they know exactly what you're doing, what they shouldn't be doing, and what they can do to participate in helping you to move up their rankings.
Right. And I feel like that's a problem when you get to be a larger business, not even with communicating with your local team on the ground, but also between departments, is that you end up getting siloed just because, people work within their own department. They have their own thing they do. You're a manager at a store. You don't end up talking to corporate. You're working in marketing. You don't end up talking to sales. It's like a common problem that, if there were just easier ways to just a monthly meeting, just a little powwow, as you say, just to get everything straightened out. It would be so much better for everyone. And I feel like that's
use a Google Sheet. Use a Google Sheet to track all those KPIs. We do. Even with our largest accounts, we have a simple Google Sheet that we start with, and it has how many links we've earned in the last 30 days between Ahrefs and SEMrush. It has technical scores from what we get from SEMrush, so we can see across the board how we're handling security and privacy and accessibility and crawl errors. It has our share of voice for how we're ranking across those different content segments. I'd mentioned delivery, takeout, maybe pancakes. All of those are separate content segments that we want to track and see how we're performing, and see how we're performing against our competition. Maybe our competition has 6% share of voice and we have 5, and our goal is by the end of the year to get up to 7 so that we can surpass them. Every month we get on that little 15-minute call and we check each other. How are we doing within those KPIs? And the bottom line that the stakeholders want to know is, are we driving more online orders from people who are coming to our website than we were the month before or the year before, depending on seasonality? Or at this point, sometimes how we're doing compared to 2019, thanks to the pandemic, because the pandemic really spiked a lot of the online activity, and now it's kind of coming back down. So I hate measuring against 2020 and 21. I like to measure against 2019 still, because that was a norm for us, So, anyway.
Yeah, definitely gets tricky to track the statistics with all the volatility. Yeah, why would you say that some companies seem so resistant to making these changes to be more local focused?
It means more work for them, and unfortunately the digital marketing managers sometimes are handling everything: email marketing, affiliate marketing, media buying, and they're working with different agencies who are handling all those things. So they only have maybe 5-10% of their bandwidth available to support
Right.
you. And they don't have a dedicated IT person who's dedicated just to SEO. They're working on fixes. So on the technical side, you don't get dedicated support to help you through those things. And it ends up in a MarTech queue that ends up in a backlog, and it just never gets done.
Right.
On the content side, they're working with these big content agencies like, hey, restaurant chain A, not to call anybody out, restaurant chain A, we found a really big non-brand content opportunity. All we have to do is get this one page up with this content and these keywords used in these places, and we forecast in a year from now you'll be getting an additional 200,000 visits to the website. They hand that off to their content agency, and the content agency says, yeah, $20,000, and they're like, yeah, that's not on my budget, and it just gets wiped out.
Yeah.
So that's where some of the challenges are at corporate, is they're working with big companies that when they say our SEO team says we should do this, they say, well, that's out of scope of our current retainer and we're going to charge you 20 grand. And they're like, well, I don't have a way to just approve a $20,000 thing because I approved all of my contracts in December for the next 2 years. So I don't have incremental budget I could use to do that kind of stuff. So the way that the corporate finance structure is set up is set up to, it's basically set up for failure for ad hoc opportunities, which is a bummer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It does.
That's a
It
technical
does
term,
suck.
bummer, right? It's
It's a major bummer. It is a
right.
technical term I hear often. So yeah, yeah, I have to know, talking about another potential bummer, what are your thoughts about the new updates from Google? I saw a lot of outrage on the perhaps defunct Twitter
Uh-huh.
about
I know,
like
scary. That was
people
this
like
morning.
yeah, I know, yeah, about the new dashboard switching over from the Google Business Profile dashboard to this new kind of embedded it
In
into
line.
like
Uh-huh.
search. Yeah, yeah.
I
What
haven't
do you
seen any
think about
problems. I
that?
see people complaining because they don't like change, but I haven't seen any problems with being able to make updates. And if you're multi-location and franchise, you're using bulk feeds anyway. You don't,
Right.
that won't affect you whatsoever. If you're using a company like SignUp, all of that stuff is done automatically through the API. You don't have to log in to Google and go to each location within the search results and make updates. If you're a single location, yeah, it takes you what, 2 minutes to go in and make that change. I love it. If I have a single location business, I can just go to Google, search for my business name, and make my updates right there and be done. I don't have to log into an interface. I think
Right.
it's fantastic. But for multi-location brands, as long as you're using a platform and your CRM is syncing with that platform, you never have to even think about it. So I don't
Exactly.
think that's the problem at all. I think if you're having trouble with it, or if it's bothering you, talk to me, because I'd love to see why you're having trouble, because I think there might be something you're missing in being able
Mm.
to streamline what you're doing to keep that business information correct. As far as Twitter goes, I hate to say it. This sounds like such a CEO stupid thing to say, but to be honest with you, they're not going to have a problem finding new help. There's so many other social networks have laid off thousands of people. Shopping
Right.
engines and other sites have laid off thousands of tech folks. There is a lot of amazing talent out there that believes in this work hard, play hard mentality, which I've
Exactly.
always loved and lived and believed in. I'm not a huge Elon Musk fan, but I get it. It's like, hey, we've got to stay up to date, or TikTok and other platforms are going to crush us. So
Hmm.
I'm counting on you, my team, my people that have believed in this platform, to kick some ass, right? And they're
Exactly.
like, we're not going to be tyrant and blah blah blah, and we're out. Okay, bye. There's new talent. Come on in. Let's kick some ass together, and
Yeah.
they're all going to do great. So I have a feeling, and it's kind of sad right now, because Twitter is making this big shift in the people who are currently working with them. But I have a
Hmm.
feeling they're going to pull in some amazing talent, and they're going to kick it into gear. And those people that want to leave, there's probably a reason beyond just tyrant that they've been wanting to leave to begin with. So I don't know.
Exactly.
I feel like it's gonna be okay,
Yeah.
But it
Yeah.
was it was a little sad
Yeah.
to see that a whole news post. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I feel like there's just like a lot of volatility in general with those
Yeah.
types of companies. Like Meta just laid off a ton of people too. So yeah, it's a little bit sad and weird, but I feel weird saying I'm excited to see where it'll go. But I don't know. I feel like there are big changes coming because, yeah, obviously a lot of the social media platforms with all
Yeah.
the even with all the changes that they make, they kind of tend to stay the course. Nothing too
Uh-huh.
dramatic happens. So it's kind of
I-
exciting to see these kind of widespread
It's
changes,
going to
see
be
what's going
interesting.
on.
Now, my hope is that he does what we do, right? We work hard, play hard. A lot of us
Mhm.
work sometimes 12 hours a day. I mean, again, we're now consulting for about 33% of the largest restaurant chains in the country, which is
Wow.
ridiculous when you think about the fact that our team is only 12 people,
I was just gonna
right?
say.
So it's pretty exciting, but at the same time, last week we brought in an influencer, so a TikTok influencer from Brazil who does roller coasters, and we hung out at Disneyland for a day, and then we
So
we
fun.
treated him to some adventures at Knott's Berry Farm and Six Flags Magic Mountain, and we learned about what's working for him in TikTok, and we had fun together as a team. Every year we do a beer tour of all the breweries of Orange County, and we celebrate and we give rewards, and we do a white elephant thing. We spent a whole day at Disneyland as a team and take our team photo on the Guardians of the Galaxy ride that
I
drops you
love
down.
that.
We work hard, play hard, and the mentality isn't, clock in at 6 o'clock and clock out at 6 p.m. It's show our clients what we're made of and hold each
Mhm.
other accountable to our success. Hey, Steve, I don't know if you've noticed this, but this particular client seems to be declining in ranking for this segment. What do we do? I don't know. Let's all brainstorm. Let's look at the competitive landscape and figure out what the competition's up to. Oh, I see what they're doing. They're doing some shady stuff. Let's report them. Right. So it's all of us being on that same page in the same wavelength, following the same blogs, some search engine land and search engine
Right.
journal, and just staying on the same page with our passion for what we do in digital marketing. And it
Mhm.
doesn't feel like work, because when you love what you do, it's not work. It's something that we're passionate for, but you need that work-life balance, and we also need that play component. So my hope is for Elon is that if these new people who are going to be coming in do what he hopes they do and really kick ass, that he rewards them not just with great salaries, but with really fun benefits and a rewarding way that makes them feel like they're part of something bigger. That's my hope
Right.
for him, but we'll see how it pans out. I know so far my team's been, most of the team have been with me for the good part of 7 years now. We have a very,
Oh,
very
that's
low
amazing.
churn
I
rate
love
on
that.
employees.
Mhm.
Work hard,
Yeah.
play hard.
Yeah, Elon, if you're listening to this podcast, take notes. Yeah, yeah, kind of on the social media front, I'm curious about your take on, I know that there's kind of been some Google gossip brewing about a more diverse search experience for when someone searches something, kind of
Sure.
they would see an article, a dictionary definition, a video,
Yeah.
like a kind of a mix of a content. What's your take on that, and where do you think that is
Sure.
going, and how will it impact the way that you do SEO and
Well,
ranking for your clients going forward?
I think they determine what people want by what they end up searching and clicking on. If you go to page 2 or 3 to find what you're looking for, or perform a second search and include a word like Twitter, like Facebook, like LinkedIn, that tells the search engine that a percentage of folks are looking for that type of content. And where
Mhm.
they can, they're going to put in a carousel. Like you see the Twitter carousel back. Thank God Twitter and Google are playing well again, because now we can
Mhm.
see social media content, which gives us some fresh things to look at, not just old pages that have been out there for months and months and months.
Exactly.
Bing has even tried putting social media into their algorithm in the past. The problem is a lot of that type um, of presence can be manipulated, and they can basically game search results by using social media as an
Mhm.
angle to do that. You hear about the term barnacle SEO, where we're, hey, since we can't beat Yelp, let's just pull links and do what we can to get our Yelp page to
Yeah.
rank, right? So I think social media, from our study, played a role in how users care about what's happening right now with a business. We
Mhm.
noticed some people actually clicking on the Facebook and the Foursquare, very rarely, and the Yelp profile buttons in the local landing pages to
Mhm.
see what's happening in those spaces where they participate, depending on where they happen to spend their time. So I think the social component gives them a voice to be able to say something in a public space about a brand, right? And it gives that brand some vulnerability and
Mhm.
hopefully some awareness that they can't just bury um, poor experiences, that they're going to happen on social media, and they need to pay attention to it. So I'm glad if there is talk about how Google wants to integrate and incorporate more more social into their search results. I think
Mhm.
that's great. I think it'd be helpful, and it's gonna hold businesses accountable to real time engagement that they're having with customers, and they can't put it under the sweep it under the carpet. They have to be aware of it and participate, and that gives you a real place to interact with a brand where you can't really do that on their local page. So the fact that you can just click on their Facebook button, go to their page, and say, I had a really poor experience, and within a few minutes the manager gets the thing and says, oh, I'm so sorry, come back in, we'll make it right. I think it's amazing. I hope they do. I really hope to see more social media in search results. Whether it's a ranking signal or not, I don't know. I don't all the links that come from social networks have a no follow attribute, so Google's not passing page rank to them. But that doesn't mean that you can't use social media as a way to share some of those short summaries and checklists on things like your upper funnel content, and use that as a way to get some of those featured answers and position zero. I think social media is a great medium to be able to syndicate some of those short answers so that you earn that featured answer, or position zero for upper funnel queries, the how, what, why, where, answer to the public kind of stuff. But yeah, I don't think that'll ever be a significant ranking signal for organic search beyond just that position zero content syndication. I hope it doesn't anyway, because it's easily gameable.
Yeah, I agree. I feel like the spam bots would be all over that for sure, trying to game the system a little bit. Yeah, but it is a great component, sorry. And having the social media there definitely does, I feel like, makes more brands more reputable for sure. If you see a brand is engaged, I know we at Sign Up, we do like review management, so we see all the time how much better companies end up doing when they really focus on managing their reviews, replying to reviews, actually like implementing the advice from the reviews, which is an important step people often forget to do. They just
if you could aggregate all of that sentiment, can you imagine? So if you take 1,000 people talking about you in social media, and you pull all of those words into a database, and you start to build sort of a virtual pivot table of a frequency of what words people are using to describe or to discuss your business. And then you take those words and apply them to your branding and to your marketing in one way or another, or take them as learning lessons if they're negative. Like if everybody's saying the bacon's too crispy or something, like, wow, it looks like the sentiment that people are sharing about our business is that we need to work on some of our products. If you can do that at scale, thanks to SaaS systems and platforms like yours, then you can change your whole business. But the business has to be open to hearing from the digital marketing people, and a lot of times in corporate, they're siloed. They don't have any say. Getting us to be able to communicate with customer service at the multi-location brands or franchise brands, there's a huge wall. Like, hey, all that great input you're getting from askrestaurant.com or whatever site you happen to be using is going into your database and not being used to help our marketing efforts is a huge waste. And being able to detect sentiment and use some of the positive things people are saying as meta descriptions and use them in our title tags to get our click-through rates up is a huge waste of really good knowledge that you have that you're not willing to share. And customer service can be like that. Sometimes they don't want to share. They're scared for their jobs. They're thinking they're going to try to automate something. And all you want to do is extrapolate words that can help, improve search behavior signals or improve content, Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah, definitely.
Welcome to my whiny world of multi-location.
It's not whiny, it's prolific.
There you go. I got to write that down.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you. I'm hoping to see some like great maybe AI based tools that will kind of crawl for a sentiment across social media, because I feel like customers are always posting, especially if you have a brand that, I don't know, is easily postable, like say a restaurant or maybe a grocery chain, maybe something like that, where people post about it. And so like some ability to comprehensively track everything that's being said about your business, because obviously reviews are great, but I feel like reviews have been waning a little bit. People like to put their thoughts just wherever the most people will see them. So if that's your Instagram story, that's where it's going. Awesome. Okay. Well, thank you so much for all your advice. This was incredible. I learned so much, and I know that our listeners did too. Thank you so much, Stephen.
Thanks, everyone. Thanks, Madeline.
Incredible. Yeah, thank you.